Hello sweet friends, and welcome to my channel Crafting with me, Indiana Jones. Today we have some Shabby Chic Halloween decor inspirations. I'm collaborating with my friends Jody at Southern Seasons, Becky of Kind of Shabby, Myra of Farm Fresh Designs 59, and Dawn of Shabby Meets Bling. Let's put a little shabby into spooky and see what we can come up with today. For this one, I decided to make a cheesecloth ghost, and I'm using this voice-controlled bulb that I found at Dollar Tree. I thought it was absolutely perfect to shape my ghost. Now I'm using cheesecloth because I want nothing inside of the ghost. I might put some fairy lights, but it's going to be completely empty. Now I'm using this product called Stiffy. Yes, that's right. It's called Stiffy, and all I do is moisten the cheesecloth so I can put it over my little ghost figure. Now you can use cheesecloth, and there's also like this kind of fabric. It's not cheesecloth per se, but they do have it at Dollar Tree, and it's a little thicker. I think this is what this might be. But one of the most important things that you do with Stiffy is make sure that you take the time to create your folds and your pleats however it is that you want. I made sure that there was fabric at the bottom because that's actually what's going to hold up the ghost. Like I said before, there's nothing going to be inside except for maybe some fairy lights. And now you can see how wonderful this comes out. You leave it to dry overnight, and look how cool. It's completely clear, and now that's the basis of my ghost. I may embellish more later. Since I already had my, well, I don't want to say it. I was going to say it. Since I already had my stiffening product out already, I decided to create another project. Take that how you will. I'm not going to say it because no, that's just rude. So I decided to create a ghostly pumpkin. Does that make sense? It's a ghost pumpkin. I don't know. I thought it would be a cute idea. So here I have my little pumpkin just sitting there. And again, anything that you're going to use the stiffening product on, make sure that you cover it with saran wrap. And one of the things I do is I use saran wrap, and then I use my little heat gun or whatever you want to call it, and you just heat it up so that it kind of shrink wraps, and you can see all of the different details of whatever you're going to create into a ghost. So here I'm using the cheesecloth once again, and I'm covering the pumpkin, making sure that I have an area where I can open it up afterwards. I do use some water just to mist it a little bit to make sure that I can get into all of the grooves. And again, like I said, there's going to be one area that I'm going to be able to open up and remove the pumpkin once this is dry. Once again, I'm going to leave this overnight to dry. And yes, I do suggest that you use gloves because it'll be much easier. Now you can see I've already added some glitter to this pumpkin as well. Now I'm using this styrofoam. I just had this from like a Temu product or something that it was rolled up. You can also use the bendable curlers from Dollar Tree. You can use that as well. And all I'm doing here is creating a peduncle. That's right. Vocabulary word of the day. The stem of a pumpkin is a peduncle. So here I'm creating a peduncle. The only thing I didn't like is that the stiffening product seemed to add a little bit of a yellowing to my fabric, but it's okay. Nobody's gonna notice. So as you can see, the pumpkin is out. I have taken the pumpkin out. Here is the seam, and all I did was glue the seam together, and we are done. I made sure that everything's glittered up, and I will decorate this later. You'll see it in the final reveal. For this next project, I'm using the beautiful Persephone IOD mold. I got this mold from L&J Goods, so if you'd like to get this and many other beautiful products, please check out her beautiful website down below in the description. I have a link for her. Now, I am using the Nara air dry clay. Now, I don't know if it's because of Nara, I don't know if it's because of the humidity, but I had issues when I pulled out this and it's a lot of clay, so I didn't want to waste it. So I'm going to incorporate it into my story. You'll see later. But it is a beautiful, beautiful mold. I did put this in the freezer because it was taking so long to dry, so I don't know if that had anything to do with it. Now I'm going to use my chalk paint. It's chalkboard paint actually, but I have this black chalkboard paint and I'm not using it, so I might as well use it as chalk paint. It's the same thing. And I'm using this Dollar Tree little silver tray, and I love these little silver trays. If you see them, buy them. Not in bulk, but I would at least buy two. Always buy two when you see these, because sometimes they're there, sometimes they're not in my store. So I take advantage when I see them. I'm covering the whole tray, even though later on I am going to use a dry brushing kind of way of painting. Excuse me, kitty. Hi. And she's wanting to say it's time to like, share, and subscribe if you're enjoying this. That's what the little meow was about. And there I am, just dry brushing the edges of that tray so you can see all the beautiful details. Excuse the meowing in the back, but that's what it's like to craft with cats. Now I'm going to add the beautiful Persephone mold. And to glue it down, I used E6000 or Gorilla Glue, and of course a little bit of hot glue as well. And there is Kuru making sure that everything is turning out just right. Now, here I am just gluing it on. It's very easy and simple. And as you can see, there are some marks on her face. Unfortunately, when I pulled it out, that part of the mold was still not dry enough. But that's okay, because I'm going to make her into a witch. And back in the olden days, unfortunately, in the dark ages, I guess, of the U.S. history, people who had birthmarks, people who had scars or marks on their faces of no fault of their own, sometimes were considered to be witches. So this one is one of those stories. I guess I'll call her Abigail. And poor little Abigail was born with a very kind and empathetic heart. So not only was, because of her, I guess, the birthmark on her face, she understood how people felt inside. So that's also why they considered her to be a witch, because she was very empathetic towards other people. And unfortunately, they were going to try her for witchcraft, but somehow she was able to escape. There was a young artist who created this beautiful cameo of her, and they were able to escape the town and escape the townsfolk. And he saw her for the beautiful woman that she was, and not for what the people were trying to accuse her of. But he did find out later that she did have a little bit of a witchy quality to herself. She was a healer. She could perceive other things that were happening. She was very helpful, never did her any kind of black magic. So she was the White Witch. I'll call her the White Witch of Salem. I'm making up this story, people. It's not true, but I just like to entertain you while you watch me play with clay. So as you saw there, I just did a freeform shape for her hat and for the brim of the hat and added it to the cameo. Using another mold, I added some embellishment to her hat. Now you can use the clay, or you could have used flowers. I could have used flowers. Now I decided to put a label on top of her cameo because she was considered a witch, and I thought this was an added little detailed touch that made it even spookier. I don't know. I don't know if I make spooky enough crafts, but I like them. They're pretty. I make pretty spooky crafts, but not too scary. So here I'm just using my little letters, which I didn't even know I had in my stash, and I was looking around, and lo and behold, I found them. And yes, just putting in the word witch to go above her pretty little head. And once again, since I saw this mold, I thought, what a wonderful way to create a witch cameo. I always wanted to do this, and I really like the way it turned out. It's very gothic. It's very pretty. I don't know. I thought it was a very different way to decorate for Halloween, so I hope you like it too. Now, I would guess that a white witch would have a white pumpkin, but I wanted this pumpkin to look like it was magical in some way. So I decided to create, like, I don't know, florals around this white pumpkin. I love white pumpkins, by the way. And just use, like, all these bendy wires and, I don't know, I don't know what to call those. Bendy wires. Bendy wires? No, vines. Vines. Bendy wires, vines that you get at the Dollar Tree, and one is covered in twine, so it's a twine vine, and the other one has the little beads on it, and just, you know, to intertwine them together and create these little shapes of, like, almost looking like a spell has been cast over it and these tendrils are reaching up to the sky. So what I'm doing now is I'm just cutting some leaves and some flowers. I thought purple, I just love the idea of purple with black. And I know that's not very common for fall and Halloween. I just think it looks very romantic in the end product, as you'll see in the end reveal. Now to the vines, I'm going to add some purple berries. I'm going to add some little leaves. And I did try to keep within, like, the fall colors with this dark kind of ombre green that you see in those leaves and the dark purples. I just think it's so pretty. So if it's not necessarily fall, again, you can do this with fall colors however you like, but I just saw these purple flowers in my stash and I thought, you know what, I'm going to add the purple. Besides, I think, look at this. I'm so sorry that I didn't have me putting in all of the flowers one by one, but there you can see how pretty. I had an issue with my service, I don't know, something went wrong, but anyway, you can see that all I did was add the flowers one by one to the pumpkin while creating these wonderful vines around it. And I think it just looks so lovely, especially with a white pumpkin. Now here's another view of it. The cats were getting onto the vines and playing with them, but they survived. As you can see, I had to keep adjusting them because they kept pulling at them, but it was just nice to have them with me on my craft table. With a few final touches, a few final branches, some leaves, and other items that I could find in my stash, I was able to create this lovely pumpkin. And I think this is a beautiful idea if you're having a fall or Halloween wedding. Look at how pretty that turned out. Since I had a magical pumpkin, I thought it would be nice to have a magical spell book and decorate it in the same way. Again, this is such a lovely departure, and you can use any color flowers you want. You can use fall flowers or dark black flowers, whatever you'd like, but I'm going to make this centerpiece with this book. And what I'm using is some of my spooky ooky papers that I received from Grabby. And I have more information about that down below if you're interested, and some other papers that I had in my stash, including these that are from Tim Holtz. And I just tried to create it to look like a little bit of a spell book. And I think what's cute is that in the end, the spell book has some magic of its own. And I guess that's where the pumpkin came from. I don't know. I think we're going to make it that's the story, that magically a pumpkin appeared from this beautiful spell book. I forgot to mention that this book was in my stash. I probably got it from the Dollar Tree, but you can also get free books from the library. There are a lot of books that they're about to throw away, and you can ask them if you have any free books. So I have a bunch of free books as well. And what I did was, of course, as you can see, I'm decoupaging to create the spell book. I should have done that before I attached the styrofoam that you see there in the middle. But because I knew I was going to put flowers, I wanted to have something to stabilize the flowers in the middle. And of course, what would Halloween or a spell book be without moss? So here I'm adding some of that wonderful dark green. It's not the dark green, it's like the brownish moss, and I think that's very witchy looking. So I think this is perfect to create this magical spell book and get it to come to life. Now, next I'm going to use, and I don't know if you've known about this, but there is wired moss. Yes, there is wired moss. You can get it on Amazon. I'll put a link down below. But look how cool how you can create like these different shapes. It almost looks like, you know, as if it was like tendrils coming out from the book. And of course, those little the wired the wired vines that you can get at the Dollar Tree. This one has just white pearls. I couldn't find anything with purple, but that's fine. The white pearls works just as well. And I continue adding some more tendrils, like the book is coming to life. But not only that, I wanted to make, because it does look very spooky ooky. So you can stop right here and it's perfectly spooky, but of course I wanted to make it pretty, so I'm adding these lovely muted purple flowers. I think it goes so well with that paper that I have there on the side, and of course it matches the white pumpkin. And now I'm just going to continue embellishing with more vines and some of those like little berries that you can find. I found some in purple that were on clearance for 90% off from Hobby Lobby. So again, you know, I take advantage of anything that's on clearance, anything that's in my stash, anything I can find for free, so that I can make these economically. And again, what a beautiful idea for a centerpiece. If you were having any kind of baby shower, bridal shower, anything, and you wanted to include a little spookiness, but it didn't necessarily want it to look like Halloween, here is a perfect example of what you can do just with some old books and some silk flowers. You can create something similar with real flowers as well. You just have to use the different kind of the different kind of styrofoam that's for florals, and you have to put it in a plastic container so that the water won't affect the book, but it can look just as beautiful as this. Now, I would have done this also before I had added the flowers, but I didn't think of it before. But now all I'm using is an ink pad to ink up the sides of those papers just to make them look worn and weathered, and the edges of the pages right on the top. I also bent the pages a little, again, to make them look more worn and weathered. Again, adding some more flowers and more embellishments, and I think this really turned out to be a beautiful addition for any holiday, or I should say Halloween decor. But especially for any holiday decor, I would keep this out all year, honestly. I think it's so pretty, enchanting, and magical. I think I like that. It's going to be an enchanting book, an enchanted spell book. And there you have it. Now let's see it all put together. Thank you once again to our host Jody at Southern Seasons, and my fellow crafters Becky of Kinda Shabby, Myra of Farm Fresh Designs 59, and Dawn of Shabby Meets Bling. You can find links to their channel and the full playlist down below. Thanks again for stopping by, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and come back for more. And as I always say, stay safe, be kind, God bless each and every one of you, and live the adventure.